name's Jenny Anchondo, and I am here to serve as your sort of moderator and host for the event. Okay, if you were here last week, you know that Nancy knows her stuff. I have to tell you, I learned a lot from her last week, and we are going to learn even more this week. We talked a little bit about government contracts last week, and this week we are going to start talking about resources to starting and growing a business with SBA. So that is where Nancy is coming from. And if you're not familiar with her, or if you're just joining us for the first time, I do want you to know a little bit more about her background, because it's important for understanding the context with which she is joining us from. So she is a supervisor for the business development program. She's a women business representative with the Dallas-Fort Worth district office for the U.S. Small Business Administration. So she really does know her stuff. I mean, she's been doing this since 2011. At least she's been doing this for longer than that, but she's been at the head of the business development program and the women business representative for the SBA since 2011. She has been absolutely instrumental in providing leadership, management, and oversight to optimize the deployment of the SBA's federal contracting programs to the small business communities within this 72 county geographical area. Also important to note, Nancy's doing that both in Spanish and in English. So that just talks a little bit more about her experience and who she's dealt with. You know, she's really been a champion for women and disadvantaged businesses in the federal marketplace. She has played an important role in increasing participation of small businesses in federal contracting programs, and not just kind of helping them along, but truly being an advocate for inclusion and participation of small businesses in government procurement. So she is also highly educated in this area, and I could go on and on about Nancy, but I want her to be able to speak. She graduated from Jacksonville University with a bachelor's degree in business administration. She is a member of the Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society, and then she's also served on many different boards within the city of Jacksonville, the Mayor's Hispanic American Advisory Board, the Business Council. Also City of Jacksonville's first business incubator. So she's really been entrenched in the business community for some time, focusing on minority-owned businesses and small businesses. So it really is a delight to be able to hear from Nancy. She has an excellent presentation. And without further ado, Nancy, take it away.
All right, thank you, Jenny. And let's set up my presentation here so that you can view the presentation as I go. All right. So as Jenny said, today I'm going to be covering resources to start and grow a business. And our first slide talks about SBA's mission. And you can see at the bottom, start, grow, expand, and recover. In a nutshell, that is what the SBA does. But our mission statement reads, to maintain and strengthen the nation's economy by enabling the establishment and viability of small businesses and by assisting in the economic recovery of communities after disaster. So, you know, we've been pretty busy with the pandemic. And so you're going to hear a little bit about the recovery efforts as well. Let's start with the main thing, all right? As a small business, whether you are in business or you're going to start a business, or even if you want to grow your business, you're going to need capital, right? Sometimes that capital can come from relatives. Sometimes you can take out a credit card. And so the SBA tries to facilitate access to capital by providing the funding. So we connect you with the different fundings. The SBA does not do direct lending for starting or expanding a business. We do SBA backed loans. I always tell people who ask me a little bit about SBA loans, it's like a cosign, right? The SBA will guarantee to the lender a percentage of that loan. Okay, we also have a network of private investors. So if you do not want to take out a loan and you want to have a private investor look into your company and provide capital and other resources, then you can probably look into this private investor network that we have known as angel investors. Third, we have funding primarily in the form of grants for research and development. This is strictly for companies that are in technologies and are doing research and development. And there's a two-phase program under this. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Also, surety bond. If you're in government contracting and you need a bond, or if you're doing any kind of construction work out there and you're required to provide a bond, then the SBA offers surety bond program through participating agents. So we could take a look at that as well. All right, so the SBA works with approved lenders to offer microloans and SBA-backed loans with competitive terms, lower down payment, flexible overhead requirements, counseling, and education. I mean, where else you could get a combination of all this together, right? And guess what? The counseling is free of charge. We have different resource partners that can work with you on helping you put together a plan to present to the lender. So let me share with you how the SBA works. Most of SBA's lenders are approved either what's called preferred lenders or participating lenders. Different levels just represent the authority they have, where SBA has delegated authority to the banks to approve the guarantee portion that SBA does in a loan. So this is how it works. You would present your business plan, your proposal to the bank, and the bank would use their conventional approval methods to approve your loan. They would look at the purpose and all that stuff. If they feel you're a high credit risk, they would then request an SBA guarantee loan. And the SBA can provide up to 75% guarantee of that loan. That means that if you default on that loan, then SBA is responsible for the portion that we've guaranteed. So with this, lenders are more likely to do loans for startups and expansion. Can SBA-backed loan help you? Well, we pretty much can finance with an SBA loan pretty much everything. Here's a listing of some of the things that you can finance. Launching, growing, equipment, inventory, revolving line of credit, working capital, you name it, you can cover it. I say to everyone, as long as it's legal, it can be, you can use an SBA loan to expand or grow your business. So again, lots of information here, lots of opportunities for you to either grow or expand your business. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the loans really briefly, but let's cover here. If you want to increase your chances of receiving a loan, you want to be prepared. You want to make sure that you're bringing to the lender what they need. And the lenders are going to need a series of things, starting first and foremost with a business plan. And a business plan is not only good for a loan, it's good for many other things. It's good for you as a business owner to understand where you are and where you want to take your business. And it also helps you stay focused if you set smart goals, right? Goals that you can track and measure and follow up and tweak your business plan. And the banker is no different. They want to see what you are projecting, how you're going to achieve that. And they're going to look at other parts. Your business plan is going to cover your expense sheet. It's going to, the bank is going to want to understand whether or not you're going to have cash flow to repay the loan. They're going to look at your financial statements if you're currently in business. If you're not in business, then they're going to look at projections. So again, a number of things. It's important that you work with someone that understands the industry, because that's what the bank is looking at. They're looking at your business plan. How feasible is it in comparison to what the industry is doing? So it's in your best interest to work with a couple of people in the different parts of the business plan. It is also important, any banker as well as the SBA is going to look at a couple of things: character, cash flow, collateral, capitalization, and conditions. Certainly under capital, you demonstrate strength of character. So they're going to pull your credit. Not that we use strictly your credit report to determine whether or not we're going to grant a loan or we're going to grant a guaranteed portion of that loan, but we certainly are going to look at your character in terms of repayment of repaying back your debt. Cash flow. Do you have adequate cash flow to repay the loan? Again, this is an important aspect because, again, the banker is going to determine if they do provide you the loan, okay, whether you will be able to make your monthly payments. And going back to the SBA back loan, that is the beauty of SBA loan. The fact that in any commercial loan, your terms are going to be way a lot tougher for you as a small business to meet. With SBA loans, the term of the loans are extended to provide you the opportunity to repay the loan. For example, most banks will give you anywhere between 3 or 5 years to repay back a working capital line, where SBA will, under SBA terms, the bank is required to give you 7 years to repay back the loan. So again, there are different terms depending on what it is that you're financing, from cash flow to equipment to real estate. So each one has a different term, but I can guarantee you that it's better, you're going to receive better terms because we're allowing a greater maturity of time to repay back that loan. Collateral, certainly, the SBA is going to provide a guarantee on that loan, but we certainly want to make sure that that loan is collateralized. We use federal funds, we use taxpayers' dollars to pay this, so we do not want to, we want to make sure that those laterals, and responsibly so, are collateralized fully, and so is the bank going to do that as well. Capitalization, do you have the capitalization plus liquid holdings and earnings? And lastly, we're going to look at, are there outside conditions that will affect your ability to repay the loan? So we're looking at things like inflation, et cetera, et cetera. So a number of different things that, again, if you work with a resource partner, they can make sure that these items are addressed in your business plan. Now, if you're interested in taking advantage of SBA's loan programs, then I encourage you to visit our website at www.sba.gov/lender match, just like in the bottom of the screen here, okay? And you will use this tool. This is our newest tool. And what it does is you will enter, you will describe your needs. What are you looking for? The amount of the loan, what type of industry you're in, just some basic questions. Then interested lenders will reply to your inquiry within 2 days. Okay, then you'll start talking to the lender, and finally you will submit your application with the lender that responded to you, if that's the way you want to go. Okay, if you need private investors, so this is, again, this is what we call our small business investment companies, or angel investors, where you can actually participate. We do have a network of participating angels, and if you want to take advantage of this program, this is really directly managed out of headquarters. If you want more information, certainly you can email me for more information, and I'll put you in contact with an individual in Washington. Please note that with private investors, you are giving away a portion of your company. So these are things that you have to carefully evaluate. Again, I would encourage you to continue to use our resource partners that can certainly share some great advice with you free of charge in helping determining which is your best source of capital. If you need funding for research and development, again, I spoke earlier about the grant program. There are 2 phases of this program where we can provide up to $750,000. Interesting enough, the funding for this research and development grant does not come directly from the SBA. SBA is the managing agency. We have about 10 or 12 federal agencies that participate, and so the funding comes directly from the agency. These are the programs under the grant program. They're called the Small Business Innovative Research and also the Small Technology Transfer Research Program. These are the two programs I'm talking about specifically for businesses. And so if you are if you're in the area of artificial intelligence, nanomaterials, water filtration, education, some other technologies, I would encourage you to visit the website, sbir.gov, where you can find out more information and what other industries can participate in this program. But it's a great opportunity for you to do a little bit of research and development with someone else's money that you don't have to repay back. So that's the beauty of this program. And again, it mostly has to do with federal agencies looking for technologies, new technologies. All right, and our next program, we know how you can expand the business internationally now, and there's a lot of transactions going on via the internet, and that allows us to go international. But if you have a product that you want to take international, besides selling that product on the internet, and you need to find buyers, let's say anywhere in the world, you can actually take advantage of this international trade and exporting program, where we have advisors, and counselors, in addition to different loan programs to help you export your product. So I would encourage you, again, a lot of benefits on this, and you can grow your business by just going international. There is information on the website, sba.gov/exporting. Again, you're going to get a copy of this presentation. So if you didn't have the opportunity to write it down, please don't worry. When you get the presentation, the links will be there on the slides. All right, business development and counseling. I mean, what business doesn't need the counseling? And I always tell small businesses, if you do not take advantage of our resources, whoa, you're missing out on a lot. Every small business, if you want to imitate the large business and the success of a large business, if you look at every large businesses have their advisory board. They have a board of advisors. They have their board of directors, and these people are sharing their expertise. And so you can do the same thing without calling it an advisory board. You can use all these resources that we have available at your disposal, use them as your advisory board, and kind of pick their brains. They have different expertise. But, we have resources that can assist you in counseling, transition assistance. If you need a mentor, we certainly have mentors that will work with you in all aspects of your business. We also provide low-cost training in some instances, or in many instances is free. We also have online classes. We do in-person and virtual consulting as well. So again, different levels of assistance that we're able to provide. And lastly, our resource partners are always referring. So we can refer you to one of our resource partners if, it goes beyond the expertise of one of our resource partners. So again, we have over 1,400 approved offices that work with the SBA. We have approved lenders, approved resource partners. We're going to name a few of them, I think, in the next page. But if not, SCORE counselors, Women Business Center, Veterans Business Outreach Center. I mean, you name it, we have it. Specific assistant. There's assistance anywhere you look in the SBA. We have the right connections for you. So if you are looking for that assistance, if you're trying to figure out where to start, I encourage you to visit our website at www.sba.gov and click on the right-hand side where it says local assistance at the top in red. And that's going to bring up, get your local assistance. It's going to ask you for your zip code. Okay, enter your zip code and hit the search button. You're going to get a listing of our resources, and you can pick as many as you want. Just because you go and visit with the Women's Business Center doesn't mean that you can't go to the Small Business Development Center and seek assistance from a counselor. Again, I encourage you to seek out as many counselors as possible, because you're going to be getting different feedback from different advisors in terms of ideas, right? If you're trying to grow your business, or different ways of doing things. So again, the good thing is, again, this is free advice. You're not forced to take it and implement it. You do as you wish. You are in control, and you're the one that decides what strategy you are going to implement in your business. And so the topic that comes to my heart, growing your business through government contracting. And there's so much to be said about government contracting. First and foremost, the federal government is the world's largest buyer of goods and services. Every year we buy in excess of $600 billion in goods and services. And we actually give small businesses the opportunity to compete. They can compete full and open, which means you're competing with everyone. You can compete with other small businesses if you get yourself certified as a small business, or you can be awarded a sole source opportunity where you are not competing with other small businesses. The good thing is that there are laws, there are procurement laws that state that a certain percentage of federal contracting opportunities must be reserved for small business. The overall one is 23% reserved for small businesses. Then we have a 5% for women-owned small businesses, a 5% for small disadvantage, a 3% for HubZone certified companies, and we also have a 3% for service disabled veteran-owned small businesses. I am so proud of what we do in government contracting. I had to highlight what we've been able to accomplish. And the federal government nationwide has been able to exceed the small business contracting goal in 8 consecutive years. So, I mean, we've worked hard. We're working with the agencies. We're trying to make sure that they connect with the small businesses. We're trying to put out the word to small businesses that the opportunities are there. If you did not see or hear my presentation last week, I encourage you to visit us on the 21st. And I think Jenny's going to talk a little bit more about that. And if not, visit the website so that you can be aware of, the time that I'm going to be doing that presentation and going more in depth into government contracting. We've also awarded a record-breaking $145.7 billion in prime contracts to small businesses. 26.01% of small businesses have received eligible federal contracting dollars as primes, and 69,000 small businesses have received award as a prime contractor. The average award is $2.1 million. So who wants a $2.1 million? Come and see me on the 21st. And lastly, disaster assistance. Boy, and we have experienced disaster the last 2 years, right? It feels like we're still in it. But anyway, we do assist small businesses recover. And not only small businesses, some people that get affected in a disaster, like for example, hurricane or tornado, fires, even if they're not in business, the SBA can assist. So this is the only program that the SBA does a direct lending, okay? We do up to a 30-year loan with this, and you can use this loan for pretty much anything: real estate, personal property, economic injury, machinery and equipment, inventory, and even for active duty military. If you get caught in what's called a BRAC, and you have a key employee who has to leave the company because they got called to active duty, there's going to be maybe a degree of impact, economic impact to your business. You can take advantage of this program as well. You've heard of our programs, PPP that was implemented under the pandemic. These were just special programs that we created. specifically for the pandemic, the PPP, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. They are no longer open right now, but we do have disaster assistance anytime there is a federal declaration. We implement the SBA Disaster Assistance Program. So if you're ever again in a disaster, please don't hesitate to call the SBA and find out what type of assistance we have. And Jenny, I'm going to pass it over to you so that we can start taking on those questions.
Awesome, Nancy. This was so wonderful. And I hope that you're all catching at the end. Right there, it says SBA.gov, which is the main website that she was referencing. And before we go any further, while it's on my mind, she was mentioning next week, the 21st. So if you do happen to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the information is at sed-national.org. And there's all the information about the 58th annual conference, which is really exciting. And then we will have a regular session next week as well. There's just it's a busy and full and robust month for this group for sure. So let's get into the questions. We have gotten a lot of excellent questions, and I will just kind of shoot these out to you, Nancy, and then we'll see what we can fit it in here. We've got a lot of time for it, which is great. So don't hesitate, you guys, if you're thinking, oh, a lot of people probably already asked, don't hesitate to put your question in, because we've got a solid 30 minutes here to go through here. This is a good one. Okay, so if I want to create an app, would I be able to get a loan to help with the creation of the app? Is that something that would make sense?
Yes, absolutely. We have just different types of loan, what we call a microloan. It just depends how much money a microloan can lend you, up to $250,000. So look into our microloan if you're looking for a smaller amount. Certainly, it can take you more than 250 depending on the type of software that you are developing, but certainly there is available for that. Again, the key is going to be to put a good business plan together to show that you're going to be able to repay back that loan and make a profit, because we want you to grow, right? So again, it's just the key is your business plan, making sure that the business plan is well crafted to demonstrate repayment and how you're going to make that company grow. So
excellent. So it can be all different types of businesses, right?
As long as they're legal, yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that added caveat. Nancy has to make sure it's like the little asterisk at the side. You got a compliment from somebody in the group saying, as a former SBA employee, I think this presentation is awesome. Great job, Nancy.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I just wanted you to feel the love from the comments here. Somebody else asking if you can share some information about the 8A program. Is that familiar, or is that too specific? I was like, that sounds very specific, but maybe she's like,
No, that's great. Remember that I oversee the 8A Business Development Program here at the Dallas-Fort Worth District Office. So yes, the 8A program is a business development program. I know a lot of people like to call it a contracting program, but in reality, it's business development. Our goal is to help you be competitive in the federal marketplace once you exit the program. So it's a 9-year program, one-time eligibility, both for the company and the individual. There's certain specific criteria that goes into meeting the social and economic disadvantage criteria. I'm not going to get into it here because we can take the whole hour, a whole additional hour on that, but I am going to encourage anyone that is interested in the 8A program and finding out more. We have a 2-hour workshop free of charge every first Wednesday of the month. And we're doing it virtually right now. So contact our office. We'll be more than happy to give you the details on the time and the link to join. But we're going to discuss the 8A program and all the other certification programs. Lastly, we do have next month starting, if you're ready to apply for the 8A program, because it can be daunting. So we have put together a 5-session presentation. We're breaking it out in 5. Our first day, we start with an overview of the program. And the next 4 sessions, which are, I think, every Thursday, 2 hours for 4 Thursdays in a row, we take you through the application process. So when you finish on your 4th session, you're ready to submit your application online.
Well done. Okay, great. Thank you so much for going. I know that that's your area of expertise, so it sounds like that's perfect for you to be able to speak about. Now, somebody asking, if they about, gosh, this was a long time ago, and I'm sure it wasn't necessarily connected to you, but saying that they inquired about a loan program locally, but didn't hear back. What would be a recommendation if somebody's saying, "Hey, I tried but didn't hear back"? Is it kind of one of those things where you need to maybe apply again or reach out again or be persistent?
Yeah, it shouldn't be that you're persistent. We should be able to have somebody pick up the phone, but there's several ways now you can do it. Certainly during these 2 years of the pandemic, the amount of people contacting the SBA, it's just been overwhelming. So if you find yourself in a position where you're trying to call the district office and you're not getting an answer, or it rings or you leave a message, and again, our inbox has just been crazy. But if that's the situation, then send an email to our inbox, which is dfw period email at sba.gov. That's our main box, dfw period email at sba.gov, and that will come here to our district office, a special inbox. And when we get a lot of them, everyone in here will take places in answering some of your questions, okay? So that's one way, but you can call our main office also, 817-684-5500. Again, 817-684-5500, and we should be able to help you with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're inundated, and it happens with everything, right? You reach out one time, so yeah, we've got to sort of make sure that we're getting our needs met, and I'm sure that you all are incredibly busy. So we are so appreciative of the time today with you taking time out to answer these questions. This is another good one. Are there any special loans for seniors specifically?
No, there are no special loans for seniors. Every often, they will develop programs to aggressively outreach to certain groups. There was a period of time when we were doing, I think it was the baby boomers. But all the loans are always the same. It's a guaranteed portion. The rates are fantastic. We put caps on what the lender is going to charge you in terms of the interest rate. We allow you to negotiate a portion with the lender, but we tell the lender, between this and this amount, you can't charge the client more than that. So again, they're great terms, whichever group you're participating. Again, if you hear special initiative, those initiatives are specifically, we're just trying to increase the opportunities. We're trying to increase awareness in certain groups because some groups aren't well represented. So we want to make sure that everybody takes advantage of SBA's programs and services.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Rather than making it just a small group. Yeah, that
Mhm.
definitely makes sense. Um, then this is just more of an advice. Perhaps you can impart some of your wisdom. It's somebody who is on disability, kind of working on their credit and wants to start a small business from home. Dressmaking. Oh, fabulous. I love that idea. She wants to do some dressmaking. So what advice for you challenges are working on her credit and then also on disability at the moment?
Yeah. So set some goals for yourself, right? Because the road can be a lengthy road, right? But first and foremost, don't do it alone. There are so many great resources with the SBA. You can start with the SCORE counselors, meet with a SCORE counselor, get some ideas on how to get it rolling. Once you move from the main stages of starting, where you get information on where to get your permits, your license, decide on a business structure. Again, there is so much involved in starting a business. Sometimes you're going to need to do some market research, right? To find a niche specific to you, primarily if you're starting from home, which, things are going to be smaller. So again, the best advice I'm going to give you is to use all the resources available through the SBA because they are free of charge. And always ask questions. Don't be afraid. If you have to come back for multiple sessions, there's nothing saying that you cannot. Your taxpayers pay for the assistance you are getting through the SBA. So take advantage of that because it's a difficult road and you want to make sure you are equipped with the resources that you're going to need to be successful and start off on the right foot.
Okay, are you guys motivated? I know I am after that. Nancy, that was great. Really excellent answer there. Another question I was actually just looking up to make sure I was understanding it correctly, but I think that I am. Asking, are there any grants for students specifically that are studying research and development? Studying in research and development.
So this is strictly, they have to have a business. So if it's a student and the student does not have a business, then maybe I would encourage them to get into business, right? And start their business if they are in research and development, because that's a great opportunity. You know, these federal agencies are looking for new resources, new technologies. So if you have something in mind, or if you're a student and you are looking into something specifically and you need the funding for research and development, yes, it's there. Now, if you're not there yet, okay, you're a student and you need funding, then I would encourage you to visit the compendium of grants, federal grants, at www.grants.gov, and you will find all federal agencies and the types of different grants available. Okay, that's where you're going to find them all.
Perfect. I was just typing it in the chat. Just so everybody knows, every time she says a website, if I can catch it, I type it in the chat just to be helpful so you can copy and paste into notes or a Word document or something. And then at the end, you can get it so you're not have to pop up a bunch of stuff while we're talking. Now, let's talk about the SBA Private Investors. Is that how, if at all, is that different than going out and getting investors on your own?
It's probably pretty similar. The difference is, again, remember that you have the backing of a federal agency. We have vetted our private investors. We make sure that the funding and the way the program is run is to allow you to grow as a small business. We don't want you to be in a position where you are under the guidelines of a private investor and you have to do things the way you do, the way they want you to do it, right? Because that's strictly the way they want it. But when you are working with an SBA approved angel investor, then you have, to a certain degree, the SBA who has oversight of this program, ensuring that these investors have been well vetted and they are providing the investment at a reasonable exchange. Because again, you're giving a portion of your company for the capital. So that's the difference between going outside with the private sector, which you really don't know what you're up against, and going with the angels investors, which the SBA has vetted.
That's a very good point. True, and some people might be very experienced in it, but if that were the case, then they probably weren't a small business, right? They're doing something else. So most people listening in on this for the small business experience probably makes sense. Now, what would potentially eliminate somebody from the SBA backed loan process? What are some of those factors that would take them out of the running or make them less likely to be approved?
I know that there are, well, let's start with the easy one first. If you are non-for-profit, okay, you do not qualify for SBA's loan program. Now, this is different from the disaster assistance because the disaster assistance was available for non-for-profit. I'm strictly talking about the regular SBA loan programs to start or expand a business. So you have to be a for-profit. If you're not for-profit, you can't apply for the loan programs. The other thing, there are certain industries that are eliminated, and I don't have a listing of it, but if you're uncertain, please contact the SBA, have them connect you with one of our lender relations specialists here, and they will tell you whether your industry is excluded. There are not too many that are excluded, okay? But there are going to be some. So you might want to take advantage, call the office and say, is this industry excluded? And lastly, if you owe the federal government taxes, okay, if you're delinquent in your taxes, or if you haven't paid your student loan, then you cannot apply for an SBA loan until that matter is resolved. Now, if you have a payment plan for your taxes, then provide the SBA a copy of the arrangement that you have with the IRS, as well as evidence that you are current on your taxes. In other words, on the agreement that you have with the IRS. And then, they'll overlook at that portion of it, as long as you're in good standing.
Okay, got it. So if somebody has, for clarification here, payment plan for the taxes, and then for student loans, same thing, payment plan, or they need to be totally paid off?
No, as long as they're paying for the student loans, as long as they're current on their student loan, that's awesome. With the taxes, yeah, they need to show that they have a payment plan and that they are current.
Okay, so it's okay if you have student loan debt as long as you're paying whatever that payment is that you've negotiated.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Mhm.
That's really helpful. Yeah, because I don't want anybody to think, oh shoot, well I guess I owe the government money because of this loan, and now they don't go forward. Let's talk about collateral. So what would be if somebody's and for some people this will be really obvious, but if somebody's never gone through this process, can you give some examples of what the collateral would be?
Sure. So, collateral is going to depend, right, on the type of loan that you're applying for, and certainly what is it that you're financing. If you're financing a building, okay, which you can do with an SBA loan. If you're financing equipment, we can use the equipment and your asset, like your building, as collateral. If you don't have that, then the government is going to look at other collaterals. They're going to look at your assets. Any of the owners, anyone who has more than a 10% interest in the business and have an active participating role in the company will be required to provide collateral for the loan. So again, SBA is going to start looking at the collateral for any of the owners. Now, I believe in the state of Texas, and again, I'm not a loan expert, so I'm a little weak in this area. It's my understanding that in the state of Texas, the government or the banks cannot use your primary residence as collateral, okay? I know in Florida, and I used to live in Florida and used to be at the SBA in Florida. Yes, in Florida, you can use your primary resident as collateral. The bank can ask for that. But here in the state of Texas, it's my understanding they cannot. So they're going to look at other assets that you might have.
Okay, great. And there's people watching from, tuning in from all over. So it sounds like it's something where they would need to check as they're going through that process.
Yes, you should whatever state that you're in, check and see what the requirements are. Again, Florida could ask for it. Here in the state of Texas, they cannot. So there might be other states out there that will not, but I don't know. I'm not aware what other state.
Sure. Well, you can't know everything, Nancy. I mean, listen, you know a lot. She knows a lot, does she not? I mean, I'm just like soaking it all in. So let's say we have somebody in here who's a business owner, and they're thinking, okay, this sounds really good. I think I want to see if I can perhaps get one of these, investors that are backed by the SBA and try to move forward in this relationship. What do they need to have before they go into that process? Is there, certain statements they need to have, or certain things they need to have in order?
Yes, they need to have, again, a business plan. I can't emphasize the importance of a business plan. And look at it from, I'm pretty sure that probably every person listening to this audio right now has heard of the Shark Tank, right? Have you noticed how they talk about, it's all, how am I going to get repaid, right? And there's a combination of loan and royalties that go into the deals in the Shark Tank, excuse me. So it's pretty much the same way. Set up your business plan, read it, understand your business plan and your business model, and how are you going to make your company grow. Pretty much what the Shark Tanks are asking is what the bank is asking themselves when they're reading your business plan.
So here's what we're doing. We're saying, okay, we're pretending like we're going into Shark Tank, right? We're like thinking this is like the miniature version of Shark Tank. Of course, that's a televised version and a lot of editing behind the scenes, but Are you ever in this process presenting in person, just like they are coming in, or is it all sort of digital and virtual?
I'm pretty sure that a bank that is truly interested in a deal, and it depends how large is the deal, might bring you in to do a presentation. But if anything, I can guarantee you that they're going to ask you questions about the business plan. Most importantly, because they want to understand and they want to evaluate the deal that you're presenting to them. Okay, but also they want to make sure that either you crafted or you contributed to crafting your business plan, right? Because then that gives them an indication, okay, he knows or she knows what they are going to do, how they're going to execute this business plan to grow this business. So they're going to ask you questions.
So we've got to just be ready, be confident, and be ready. When we talk about this process and going through the process, if there's something from your perspective, Nancy, that maybe a thing that you see time and time again, you think, gosh, I wish I could just tell everybody who's, submitting these applications or showing up to our office, stop doing this and you'd have more success. What would this be?
Huh. That's a good question because I see there's a wide spectrum here of what you see out there, and I'm trying to evaluate what I see the most. I think that probably what I'm going to say that I see the most is, again, not being prepared. Sometimes people pay someone to do a great business plan, and it's awesome. But guess what? They don't read it, they don't study it. And so when you get to the lender, okay, you're not answering the questions that the lender is looking for. And I think it becomes obvious to the lender that it was probably someone else that prepared the business plan. And there's a little hesitation, and rightfully so, right? Because you want to make sure that if you are going to, if you're going to do a loan for this small business, that they're going to be able to execute their business plan, right? And that their target goals and objectives are doable. I mean, that's what the banker is evaluating. So if I'm going to give you one piece of advice, if you're working with someone that prepared your business plan, take your business plan then to one of SBA's resource partners who can help you practice and ask you questions. That's a way for you to better prepare in responding to any questions that the bank might have regarding your business plan and how you're going to execute it. Okay, so that's probably one of the best advice I can give them.
I think that's great because everybody goes in, of course, thinking that they're putting their best foot forward. We all do, but then we never know in comparison to everybody else, how are we doing? Is there a reason? Is there anyone, when you look at, okay, these are the things that everybody that's successful has, everybody that's successful in, basically getting money for their business so they can go about their merry way and become successful. Is there any one sort of commonality that you notice in terms of those people, those small business owners that are coming to the table?
Yes, I would say probably resourceful. I mean, I can tell you, I hear stories of entrepreneurs who are very successful, and they often tell me that how many people they spoke to, how many friends and family members they spoke to about their ideas and their dreams of entrepreneurship. And they always, said, no, that's not a good idea, or, try to, steer them in another direction. And so they stayed their course. They were resourceful. They looked for information. They put it all together and they didn't hear the negative. They just kept on moving forward. And I think that's a great quality for an entrepreneur to have. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to say, you're not going to be able to do it. So, don't listen to that. Listen to your heart, and listen to, you are your best advisor. Use your inner you to allow you to, drive you where you have to go with this idea that you might have. Or if it's an expansion, again, use the resources, but once you start getting negative feedback from people, I mean, there's some negative feedback that is good, but if and you could tell the difference, right? You know, stay the course, stay the course. I can't tell you how many people started off, they have successful businesses right now. Microsoft is the one that comes to mind when you speak about, how many people saw the primary group that was involved in Microsoft and they said, oh, I wouldn't have lent them a penny, and look at where they are today. So it's probably the best advice I could give them.
And it's really generous advice too. Because you've been doing this for a long time and you've seen what works and what doesn't. And it is so smart to be able to keep trudging along, because we're all going to get no's. We are all going to get no's, that's for sure. And I want to give everybody, there's kind of like a 7-8 minute warning here. If you have lingering questions that you've been wanting to ask, or follow-ups, or anything specific to you, please do post them and I'll get them in. This is another great question for you, Nancy. Somebody who is a 100% disabled American veteran in school and working part-time in research and studying, looking for a job to grow in, for developing skills for long-term commitment to keep the economy going and thriving. I know that is outside of the realm of what you came to speak about today, but perhaps any wisdom again, disabled American veteran in school, working part-time in research and studying, looking for a job where they can grow, that they can grow in and stay in long term. Any advice for them?
Yeah, certainly. And as a veteran or service disabled veterans, there are so many programs out there to help you. We have our own Veterans Business Outreach Center. And while it's geared to assist entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, pay them a visit. They might be connected to other resources because, again, that's who they're in touch with. They're in touch with the veteran and disabled veteran community. So they're going to be able to connect you with other resources. They're local here. They're in Arlington. So I would check our website. You can go again to sba.gov/local assistance and enter your zip code, and you're gonna see the Veterans Business Outreach Center, which is located in Arlington. Just give them a call and they'll connect you with the resources you're going to need.
Okay, that's great. I was thinking, I don't know, is she going to have something for this? And sure enough, Nancy delivers. She delivers, most certainly. Now, going back to this initial topic that we were talking about when it comes to resources for starting and growing a business with the SBA. Let's say somebody who's like, oh, I'm not really quite at the loan process. I'm just getting started. I'm truly just, I have an idea. I'm sitting around in my house or in my apartment. What's the best first step for him or her?
Yeah, the best step is to do a self-assessment, and don't go at it alone. I would call one of the resources. I would meet with a SCORE counselor. I would meet with the Women's Business Center. I say, hey, listen, I'm in the starting stage. This is kind of a brainstorming session for me. I want to determine, first of all, whether or not I am ready to go into business, because sometimes there might be this perception about going into business. I've often had people say, I want to be my own owner, or I want to be my own boss, excuse me. And I ask them, why would you want to be your own boss? And says, well, because I would set my hours, I don't want to work these lengthy hours. But when you start talking to business owners, they work extended hours, they work Monday through Monday. So that might be the wrong perception. You have to have a better understanding of what you want to achieve and what the world of entrepreneurship is going to bring to the table, right? Because there are going to be a lot of challenges. I have what we call an 8 to 5 job, right? I'm in, I leave, I clock out. Oftentimes I want to say that I don't turn on my computer and work after hours, but I don't have to, is what I'm saying. Owners cannot. When you're in business for yourself, if something came up and it's time for you to clock out. It's 9 o'clock at night, and you might still be in your computer, and you might be there till midnight. So again, starting with a self-assessment is the great way to do that. And some of our resource partners have an assessment that you can take to self-analyze yourself and whether or not this would be a good venture for you to get into. And then from there, start the brainstorming. Okay, what do you like to do? Because sometimes, right, you want to go into business with something that you like to do. And that starts opening the doors to, okay, what area, what industry, what can I do? Okay, so again, there's a lot of information, and they have a lot of resources to help you with that. I say that would be your starting point. Primarily, if you're blank, you just want to go into business, and I just don't know what I want to do. And we get a lot of people like that. So take the opportunity to get into these brainstorming sessions, and that's going to spark something. Okay, so that's probably the first route. One thing that I wanted to add that I forgot to mention in any of my presentation in access to capital, really briefly, is if you want to start a business, SBA will finance franchises. So if you want to start a franchise, we can certainly assist you with that. There's more information on our website. Visit a website. There's a certain approved franchises. And if it's not on the list, it doesn't mean we won't do it. Okay, we will just work with the franchise agreement to make sure it's not imposing on the small business. So that's another great resource and way to go.
Oh my gosh, we could do a whole nother hour on franchises, I bet, Nancy. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, of course, this whole time my line of questioning has really been in that of you have your own idea, then you do this. But it sounds like if somebody has a business they already know of and love, and they know it's a franchise, then that's a route that they could go. How would somebody find out if that franchise was already approved? Is that
So
online?
so SBA has a registry. Go on our website and type the federal registry. It's not the federal registry, I'm sorry, but type franchise registry on SBA's website, and it should give you the listing, the link to the franchise registry, and it will be a listing. Again, if it's not there, it's not reason for you to say no. You can submit the franchise agreement to the SBA, and they will evaluate it, and sometimes they approve it. Okay, if it meets the guidelines of the SBA, they will approve it, and it will be added to the franchise registry. But there's so many franchises in there already. I would be surprised if the franchise is not in there. So take a look at it. Yeah.
That's great to know. And so then it would, if somebody was going through the process, they know, okay, the franchise is approved, but then they would still have to be approved, right? The person, the business owner, future business owner.
Right, for the loan, you mean, right? Yes, for the loan, yes. But a lot of the work is done up front, because remember, your franchise comes with the business plan and all the planning that they need. There's approved territory, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of the legwork that you have to do with a loan for yourself is already done in these franchises.
Right. Excellent, Nancy. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and for just imparting so much wisdom on this today. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you want the replay of this, it will be up by next Wednesday on Sarah's YouTube channel, which is in the chat. Also click on that link for more on Sarah's programs. There's, if you're happen to be in North Texas, there's the big conference coming up next week. And then I will be with you here next Thursday, same time, same place, for another small business session, which I'm really looking forward to. So Nancy, have a great rest of your week, and everybody else, same to you, and we will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.